up in Bowie, Maryland, a small town. You know, my dad had a little roadside tavern, and they had a jukebox. And so when they cleaned out and rotated the 45s, we would get all the old 45s. So we had stacks and stacks of surf music, Motown, country, Frank Sinatra, you name it. So I would sit around and pretend I was a drummer to these records. And then I started playing piano, taking little piano lessons and getting into it a little bit. And then gradually in high school, you know, I started to get really serious when I joined the high school stage band. When I moved to California, I really only knew two people. My friend Ned, who I got to stay at his house, and Russell Ferrante, who I had met playing with Robin Ford. And you know, when the Yellow Jackets would come into town, I would go see him and hang out a little bit with Russell. I get a call from Shelby Flint, and I didn't know who Shelby was. Russell had actually been playing in her group, and he was getting a little too busy with the Yellow Jackets, and so he recommended me to replace him. And I found myself playing at Dante's, the famous jazz club in LA, my 12th day in Los Angeles. Through playing with those guys, I just sort of started meeting people, and I met Richard Elliot because he was playing with Kitty Hawk. And we did a show together, Shelby and Kitty Hawk. And I met Richard and then started playing in his band, and it just started building from there. And you know, the rest is history.
Yeah, it's amazing. I actually remember this very clearly. Checking out Shelby, who was a great vocalist, and checking out Gregg, and just thinking, man, this guy's great, had a great style, and really, really great player.
This new CD, it's called GK, and I just thought it would be good to simplify and not do much in the way of what does the title mean? Well, GK. You know, it's kind of my nickname. Got some nice guests on it as well. I've got Rick Braun, of course, Ricardo Silveira, again, and also Jessy J is on it and does some really nice work, and Paul Brown does a really nice funky solo on one of these songs.
Playing with Gregg Karukas is so much fun. He can play jazz, he can play R&B, he can play straight ahead, smooth fusion, well, you name it, he can do it. And when he invited me to be a part of his new project, I was just really honored to be in that level of musicianship with him. And he brings it. When he's playing live, he brings it. When he's in the studio as a producer, he's got it. He's got it going on.
This track that Rick is on, it's a real floaty track, and I took and I have Ricardo on it on guitar, on nylon string, and then Rick gets to do his mute trumpet thing, and they both kind of interweave along with my acoustic piano, and it really came out nice. And it's one of those things that it's a real moody song.
He let me hear it while I was playing on it, you know, had to talk him into it. But it's a great record, from what I heard. Fantastic. A lot of guest artists, and it was an honor to play on it. And you can look forward to more great material from a great composer, great melodic writer. Over
the years, I've just been very lucky to be able to play with many people in the LA scene as it started to develop. It's just fantastic to think how we all kind of started around the same time, and everybody was good, and then to see how everybody has really developed and how the audience has developed and gotten bigger with all of us, so to speak.
Gregg Karukas and I met probably, I would have to say it's close to, if not more than 25 years now. And the thing I loved about working with Gregg was the music was so rich. He wrote these, he's a piano player, right? But he wrote these great melodies for saxophone. I just remember launching into, there's so much meat, you know, so great to take that sax and put it to those melodies. He was one of, if not the first, that took a chance on me.
About Gregg is I really like his songwriting. You know, he actually has his songs aren't just like, you know, They're actually musical songs. It's not your typical, let's just do a groove for a while. I mean, they're nice compositions, and that doesn't happen all the time. He's one of those guys that really knows what he's doing in his world. He does what he does, and he does it very well.
Gregg is an amazing talent. I've loved his playing for many years. He's a great composer, and also he's a great engineer. He does it all. He's one of those guys that does it all.
When I write music, I always try to be melodic, and I always love grooves and stuff like that. I really spend a lot of time on the grooves, but for me, melody is king. And I think that's the thing that people relate to me the most, is the melodies are a little more involved, but they're still very recognizable in some way. So sophisticated, melodic, that's kind of what I go for. It's got to be something that sort of develops and weaves its way through the music and the chords.